Reflecting on this idea of grace. The grace of the families who lost loved ones. The grace that Reverend Pickney would preach about in his sermons. May we find ourselves worthy of that precious and extraordinary gift. May God continue to shed His grace on the United States of America.
10 years ago today, 9 people were killed, shot to death during Bible study right here at Mother Emanuel Church in downtown Charleston.
5 people survived what is now known as the Charleston church shooting.
It left a lasting impact not only on the survivors, but the greater Charleston community.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to a special edition of News 2. I'm Carolyn Murray.
And I'm Brendan Clark. We are live here at Mother Emanuel Church in downtown Charleston, the site of that horrific tragedy that took place 10 years ago today, June 17th of 2015.
And thank you for joining us. I'm Rob Fowler. 10 years after the deadly shooting, Charleston continues to come together to reflect and see how the community has learned from the tragedy and what progress has been made in the years since.
We would like to say thank you to the pastor and the congregation of Mother Emanuel Church for once again allowing us to come into this sanctuary to share this incredible day in our community and our nation's history, a day that is certainly one that's filled with tragedy and trauma for a lot of people, but as we have learned from this historic church, a place that has taught us a lot about resilience and a lot about love.
Yeah, we do have team coverage coming up throughout the broadcast, the next 90 minutes from AC Barker, from Delilah James, who's outside. But yes, that special News 2 at 4 o'clock certainly brought back a flood of memories. Hard to believe it's been 10 years since that tragedy.
And we've been here in the church. Reverend Manning came by to say hello, and I did notice that he went downstairs into the main congregation and sat on a pew, and you could tell he just wanted to kind of spend some time by himself and reflect and pray. And it's a tough day for a lot of folks, but none more so than the ones who are members of this church and family members who went through this tragedy 10 years ago today.
We think a lot about what happened on this night 10 years ago today in this very place.
Yeah, and moment by moment, you saw a little bit of it the last 60 minutes, but we want to show you kind of a timeline of what we were going through and what the Low Country was going through moment by moment 10 years ago tonight.
News of a mass shooting at a downtown Charleston church with possible multiple injuries. We begin with Brendan Clark.
This is certainly a very fluid situation right now that we are working, because this shooter, the person who allegedly did this inside the Emanuel AME Church, is on the loose right now. It was a Wednesday night just after 8 o'clock when Dylan Roof pulled up to Emanuel AME Church in his car. He enters the side entrance of the church and sits side by side with others attending a Bible study, none suspecting what will happen in less than an hour. 9 o'clock, the gunman, who had sat patiently and listened for nearly an hour, pulls out his gun and begins shooting. 9 parishioners are killed, some are spared. Roof makes several racially inflammatory remarks, then leaves the church, a black gun in his hand. Word of a shooting comes into the newsroom quickly and is confirmed by a message from Charleston police, who say via social media they are responding to a shooting at Mother Emanuel. It's just after 9:30. As you can see, police have this area on lockdown. We arrived at Calhoun Street and find near chaos. Blue lights, police, first responders are everywhere. The media kept nearly a block away from the church. At the time, we know something terrible has happened, but are not sure of the magnitude. Just before 11 o'clock, police described the suspect, white male, slender build, wearing a gray sweatshirt and Timberland boots. I personally see police tackle a man who fit that description. There's also a bomb threat nearby, forcing us farther from the scene. It isn't until the early hours of the next morning when the rumors are confirmed. Then Charleston Mayor Joe Riley, along with then Police Chief Greg Mullen, deliver the dreadful news.
The worst night of my career. This is clearly a tragedy in the city of Charleston, and we are all praying, and our hearts go out to the victims.
To have a awful person come in and shoot them is inexplicable, obviously the most intolerable and unbelievable act possible.
9 people are dead, including State Senator Clemente Pinckney, a pastor at the church. There are prayer vigils in Marion Square, people in shock, the killer still on the loose, but not for long. As the sun rises, more information pours in. This is considered a hate crime. 6 women, 3 men are dead. And by 10:30 that morning, the suspect is identified, 21-year-old Dylan Roof. An intensive manhunt underway. But less than 2 hours later, Roof in custody, recognized outside Charlotte, North Carolina, and apprehended by police in Shelby. In the hours that followed, we would learn the names of those killed, and less than 24 hours after this heinous crime, the killer would be brought back to Charleston. And it was inside that courtroom where family members, still grieving and in shock, spoke to the accused. And the words from the daughter of one of the victims defined how the Low Country would react to this horrible crime.
I would never talk to her ever again. I would never be able to hold her again. But I forgive you and have mercy on your soul.
I think we were all still in shock
Yeah.
at this point in time, exactly what had happened less than 20 hours before that. But the message there inside that courtroom, that hate would not win. Of course, President Barack Obama at the time delivered the eulogy at TD Arena downtown just days later.
That's right, and I think we all remember the president bringing
Yes.
everyone to their feet as he sang Amazing Grace.
Yep.
And of course, we would later come to hear that Dylan Roof would be found competent to stand trial and was found guilty on all charges, and that happened in December of 2016.
And we know the days and weeks and years that followed, lots of discussion about gun legislation and a hate crimes bill.